In this lesson, we are going to go through how to solve area problems. So if you recall, the area is the amount of space inside the boundary of a 2D figure. So we're looking for the area that's inside any of these shapes. Now, because it's a two-dimensional measurement, the units that we use have to be squared. So for example, centimeters squared, meters squared, inches squared, kilometers squared, whatever the unit is, needs to be squared. So your formulas are all listed here for you. So for a rectangle, we have length times width. For a square, it's just the side squared, or side times side. In a triangle, it's going to be the base times the height, then divided by 2. If the triangle looks like this, remember your height goes from the base up to the top. So you would do your base times your height and divide it by 2. In a circle, you're going to do pi times the radius squared. In a parallelogram, it's base times height, and again, the base goes from the bottom up to the top. It's different than this measurement here, which is the length of the slant. And then in a trapezoid, it's 1/2 times the length of the top plus the length of the bottom times the height. So let's try a few of these out. The first one we have here is a triangle. So we are going to use base times height divided by 2. So the area will be equal to 42 times 29, and divide that by 2, which gives you an area of 609, and it's centimeters squared. In a parallelogram, your area is equal to your base times your height. So here it's 5.9 times 4, which is equal to 23.6 inches squared. And here we have a trapezoid. So your area is equal to 1/2 times the length of the top, which is 1.5, plus, add the bottom, 3.3, and then times the height. So in order to do this calculation, you can do one of two things. You can change this into a decimal, or you can also take 1.5. I'm actually going to add that up. 1.5 plus 3.3, which is 4.8 over 2, and then multiply that by 2.9. And when you do that, you get 6.96. Oops, sorry, I'm off the screen there. 6.96 inches squared. Now, if we look at example 2, you'll see here that we have a pentagon, and you weren't given the formula for a pentagon. Now, that's because you can actually construct this pentagon by forming a bunch of triangles. In fact, there are 5 triangles. So what you can do is, since you know how to find the area of one triangle, you can find that area, and then you can multiply this by 5. So the area of a triangle is equal to the base, which is 2, times the height, which is 1.5, and then divided by 2. So that's just going to equal 1.5 inches squared, since these just cancel each other out. You could also use a calculator. And there are 5 triangles. So the area of the pentagon, I should label that, would be 1.5 times 5, which is 7.5 inches squared. On the following page, we have a word problem. Jamie is painting the tops of 40 trapezoid-shaped tables. Each table has bases that are 6 feet and 4 feet, and the height of the trapezoid is 3 feet. Determine the amount of area to be painted. So I'd just like to draw this out. So when it says the bases are 6 feet and 4 feet, that means that the bottom is 6 feet, the top would be 4 feet in the configuration that I drew it, and the height is 3 feet. So that's from a base to the top there. So if you recall, the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the bases added together times the height. So this would be equal to 10 over 2 times 3 ends up being 15 feet squared. And that's for one trapezoid, but it says that he has 40. So I'm going to do the total would be 40 tables times 15 square feet each, which gives me a total of 600 square feet. Now in question B, it says a can of paint covers 200 square feet and costs $15.99. Determine how much it will cost for Jamie to paint the tables. So if each can of paint covers 200 square feet and we need to cover 600 square feet, first we need to figure out how many cans of paint we need. So if we take our square footage and divide it by the number of square feet that one can covers, this means we need 3 cans of paint. And if the cost per can is $15.99, 3 times $15.99 will give us our total cost. And that is $47.97. And last but not least, example 5 says the area of a circle is 63.6 square yards. Determine the radius of the circle. So we're dealing with a circle and we're looking for radius. If you recall the formula for the for the circumference of a circle, we're looking for area. My bad. We're looking for area. The area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So if we know that the area is 63.6, I'm going to plug that in for A. And then I'm going to use algebra to solve for the radius. So remember, in algebra, the goal is to get the variable by itself. So here I have pi times r squared. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by pi. Divide this side by pi. So 63.6 divided by pi will be equal to r squared. And in my calculator, 63.6 divided by pi is equal to 20.24, which equals r squared. But I want to know just the radius, not the radius squared. So my final step is going to be to square root that. And the square root of 20.24 is 4.5 yards. That would be the radius of the circle.